Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and joining me is a guy that is here to me trying to figure out why Chattanooga is a house of horrors for us, is Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Hey, look, it's preseason time right now. We got the college season getting ready to go. Sporting for my boys. Right here.
Let's get hyped. The Big Ten East to West Conference.
Now we're single table in soccer.
Oh man. Oh.
Everybody loves preseason. Preseason when there's hope.
Yeah, we had a lot of that at the start of this year. We had hope. We had optimism.
We had a lot of that. We had a lot of that at the midway point.
Yeah, we did, and now we don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what it was. 3-2 against Chattanooga, and we were all saying before last week that if Richmond wanted to keep that playoff chance, I mean, obviously they're still in the playoff race. They're not eliminated or anything like that. But if they wanted to make those chances stronger, you got to beat Chattanooga. It was significant to beat Chattanooga in Chattanooga because, one, this team has not done it at all since USL League One. Going into this game, they were 0-1-4 against Chattanooga in Chattanooga. This is a team that has historically been the thorn in our side. 2021 kind of ended our title reign of getting to the playoffs in. 2022, we all know what happened with Rafa and whatnot. And going into this year, we thought we had a good chance. We thought, 2 wins against Chattanooga, both clean sheets. Thought there was a chance for us to get the sweep, get some positive momentum, definitely up for coming up for last week. And all of that just went.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
I think realistically, a few weeks ago, everybody started to realize that, all right, this is going to be an uphill battle to begin with. But the thought was, all right, we got 2 against Fuego. We got, at that time, 2 against Lexington. We got Chattanooga out there. They've been those 3 teams have been mostly donating points to the rest of the league, all year.
Yeah.
Got to clean up on those and then hope you can, take a few others somewhere along the way. And both, they were in a great position. To be able to lock it down against Lexington. Didn't get it done. In a great position to be able to lock it down against Chattanooga here. Did even worse with that one. I think most people are hitting the acceptance stage at this point that, come October 14th, that's going to be the last time we see this version of this team.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of feel that way. It kind of feels as if, like, all right, like it kind of just felt like our playoff chances kind of just went out the window with that shot that went in at the 78th minute or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just kind of feels as if we're at that inflection point of. Is it kind of just like, all right, setups? I mean, obviously the team is going to try to compete in every game going forward, but as us as fans, we're kind of at that point, like, all right, let's see what else we got on the roster. Like, see where O'Dwyer got, see what this young boy Landon Johnson got, see what Sarakowski can do in the soccer role, whatever, or see what Palmquist can do.
I have no interest in Sarakowski in the soccer role. That would be a horrible idea.
I mean, just trying something different. I mean, Darren has literally tried everything, and nothing seems to be working.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I think they're going to fight until it's mathematically done.
Yeah.
So I don't think this coming week we're gonna see an Academy Plus lineup or anything. But I think as we get to the last few games of the season, you're probably going to see more of the young guys get run out. I think we're being honest with ourselves. We're already starting to see some of the exiling happen on this roster, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more guys just become training players.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about the game. Obviously, we got to, and then we'll talk about what we expect to see going forward with what 9 games left in the season, I believe.
9 games left.
Yep. So let's go ahead and start. First half, it seemed like a very even half. The stats indicated it was pretty much 50-50 possession. But Richmond got on the board early. Huh?
I think you're missing the big story of the first half is that we didn't see half of it.
Oh, yeah. We didn't. Also, we saw good build-up play from Emmy and Bentley. This is probably Bentley's best game.
This year.
Yeah, this year, obviously.
Yeah.
This seemed to be his best game. He looked lively out there. I noticed Chattanooga. I was trying to figure out what position Riley Kraft was playing, because when he played against us in Richmond, the second game that we won, he was playing like a fullback, but in this game he seemed to be pushed further up. What it seemed to be from Chattanooga is like they were like, all right, we're just gonna go 5 in the back and hope for the best. But it seemed like Bentley was able to get in between that half space between where Kraft was and the other center back and kind of get him behind and stretch the field a little bit, something that this team been drastically missing. Is just someone just to push the ball forward, like just go forward,
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw a few different opportunities, come together on that right side. Bentley had one where you cut in and tried to curl one with his left foot into the near corner. He missed. That's not the point. That's something that I don't think we were even seeing him try. I guess a few weeks ago is not the right terminology because he was on the bench for a while. But earlier in the year, when he was, I think safely to say, in his rut, it was all just try to seemingly power through and all right, well, let me just get the cross off to Emmy. And it turns out flipping the roles worked.
Yeah, it does seem to work. Emmy gets his first assist of the year, and Bentley gets his first goal of the year. It felt good. Like it felt the momentum was good, but it also was that thing of like, I'm not gonna lie, like the same thing I talked about last week's show was like that 5-minute clock was going off in my head. Like, all right, can this team defend for 5 minutes before giving up a chance?
Didn't have to. Halftime, saved them.
It did. Halftime saved us. And I felt like, going into half, I think if you would have asked any Kickers fans of like, all right, what do you want to see in the second half? Is 1, be consistent. 2, don't create opportunities for the other team. And then C, get a goal. Like get a goal so you can feel comfortable with it, right?
Yeah. Before hop into all that, I want to be able to shout the guys out because there's not going to be a lot of that later on. Yeah. That goal, this team has developed something good on that right side, where they can be able to develop that kind of a chance seemingly almost once a game now. So a few different players this time around, instead of this time it started with Simon on the ball, kind of feeding that ball into the channel, and instead of it being normally Simon, but we've seen Meacham on that ball, we've seen a couple other guys on that ball, you're making that run as Emmy drifting out, and then he's the one making the slightly diagonal pass backwards. And Bentley was the one on the end of it. We've seen Emmy on the end of that. We've seen Zhao on the end of that. We've seen different combinations. This time is a different group of guys, but that seems to, other than long throw or corner kicks, from the actual open run of play, that seems to be the bread and butter of what's working this year.
Yeah, it's also funny because when Simon made that pass to help set up the goal, all I heard was Kate in my head of like, this is what Simon excels at, like that ball on the ground. I was like, there it is right there. Like, I mean, you're right. Like, the right side of this attack has been really good. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, not much was coming from the left. There were still moments where play kind of stagnated a little bit, where I felt like we could have pushed the ball forward, but instead they kind of opted to kind of lay it off or the safer pass. We did a good job of stagnating Tormenta. I mean, not Tormenta, Chattanooga, to the point where they didn't even have a shot on goal. Like Akira was pretty much clean. Wasn't too much danger or anything in front of his goal or anything, and we were going. We were, possessing the ball in
Absolutely. And
periods. We were slowing the game down when we needed to, getting our attackers in dangerous spots. We created a good goal. It felt good. And if you're daring, you're daring Mika and Connor, that's what you want to see, right? Like,
yeah, and I think we've said this a number of times. This team has solid 45 minutes in them. This is another example of that. We've seen that, in North Carolina. We've seen that in, unfortunately, at home a few times where they can ball out for 45 minutes and play with anybody in this league. It's putting those two 45s together that has been the absolute Achilles heel.
Yeah. And I can't put my finger on it as to why. Like I've seen people say that it's Darren's fault why this team has fallen down. I've seen people say it's the players' fault. I don't know where to put my finger at exactly of what the mentality shift is in this team versus last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's fair to say some of the heat goes to everyone involved. Like I don't think it's just a one person or one small group situation. Like you do well together, you fail together. But yeah, I mean it's baffling. Like, and I'm not smart enough to know some of these answers, but it's like is what we're doing rolling out like surprising people, but then it's just so simple that at halftime every other coach can make these adjustments and just cut us up in the second half. I don't think that's it, but it keeps happening. Is like our guys just only 60 minutes fit, and that includes like mentally fit. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. Like it just because last year the team was able to snuff out games, right? Like they were able to pretty much, like if it was 2-0, we felt good. Even sometimes if it was 1-0. I remember there was a point last year where we played, I think Tormenta at home, and Tormenta scored early. And I looked at you there and I looked at you and I was like, oh, we're getting back in this game.
Yeah, we're worried about it.
Yeah, we're not worried about it. Now I'm up 2-0. I'm like, whoo, like
yeah, it's like, all right, how much time we got left? Can we move this time going a little faster?
Right. And I'm pretty sure the players feel that same pressure as well, because they're kind of looking at themselves of like, yo, we can't create errors for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't put ourselves in a situation in which a chance is going to happen. That happened in this game. I think the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that we've talked about, especially with this team, is like a massive amount of individual mistakes that have led to goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reared its ugly head in the second half. I mean, before that, Ryan Sierakowski got his lovely forehead on a header goal, up 2-0 around the 48th minute. And even then, like, I felt good. Like, I felt like, okay, this team was up 2-0. Darren's going to revert back to shutting up shop. Like, I thought he was going to go back to 2021 Richmond, where we're going to put 10 behind the ball or 9 behind the ball and just go from there. But it never really felt like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say. I mean, other than I think you're probably braver than a lot of people listening to this to think, all right, I'm feeling good at 2-0.
Well, I mean, I think naturally any fan would. I mean, especially given how Chattanooga's been. Like Chattanooga's just coming off of a devastating, 90th minute goal at Fort Madison. A game this team's been in a bad run of form. We've beaten them twice already. Like there's no game to me so far that stands out as a good game from Richmond this year, like in years past. But
I think it's fair to say Tormenta away right after the DC game, where beat them pretty 3-1 pretty handily.
True, very true. But overall, we haven't looked our best against any side outside of Chattanooga. Like 2 clean sheets against them already. possibly going for a third. And then, I mean, I was just praising Matt Bentley, but he gives up the ball on a poor spot. He gets caught on the ball, gets it stuck in the feet, leads to Mensah having a shot from outside the box. And as much as I love Akira, he looked slow getting down to his box. I don't know if he saw it late or whatnot. He reacted late to it, but I feel as if Akira from last year saves that.
Possible. I mean, fair credit meant a good hit, good shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's not. It's not like it was one where you look at him like, oh, Akira. Like it's one where you think like, all right, maybe he could have gotten it, but I don't put that on Akira.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's one of those shots where he's stuck. Like, you ever seen a ball that's hit so well, it just gets stuck in the net? Like, it was one of those shots. But still, like, we had multiple players around the ball to kind of snuff it out. Like, last year, I feel like a tactical foul would have happened there. That foul on top of the box that we were complaining about at the start of the year. Yeah. Like, that's the time you use that foul there.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of our own complaints coming back at us right now. But
right. The irony of it all, man. It's like, I don't know. You can see like a lot of players kind of backed off in that moment. Shot happens. It's 2-1 then. And I mean, we all know how Chattanooga is, like, especially there in Chattanooga. And this team, I think the part that's frustrating to me is this team knows this. Like, they know how Chattanooga is in Chattanooga. They know, like, if any sort of momentum happens at Chattanooga, they're going to just throw reckless abandon at the win. They're just going to go for it.
Yeah, it's not like it's a lot of these guys' first rodeo down there. Most of them, were with the team previous years or they were with other teams in the league previous years and, familiar with the general play style. I mean, it's a much worse version of Chattanooga this year than the previous, teams. But, the overall kind of mindset doesn't seem to be terribly different. They're just not as good at it.
Yeah, no. It's, and I don't want to question the mentality of the team. I don't, because I know they're fighting and I know they're in a rough form. Like, the commentator made it known. It's been 42 days since Richmond's last win or a clean sheet. We know that. And it seemed like, in moments like this, when things are going right, when you're winning games, you're able to overcome a moment like this. You're able to override something like this. Like, all right, let's clean it up. Let's get back on the ball, slow this game down. Don't let Chattanooga get momentum. But instead, it's kind of like we went in the opposite. It was like, right after they scored, we created a chance where it's kind of like that twilight moment where if Bentley scores it, we're 3-1 up. Maybe we ride this game out differently, but Bentley misses it from the cross from Sarakowski. And it seemed like Chattanooga was like, all right, we're just going to go, 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 go.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a snuff film of all the past games at Chattanooga melded into one.
Yeah.
After that point, I think the only thing missing was them getting a red card and us giving up a goal against 10 men. But other than that, the greatest hits of how do things go wrong for Richmond and Chattanooga.
I mean, this is a area where we have never won at. Like
I mean, it goes beyond that though. Like last year down there, we have our best team, in this era. They up 2-0. Also, oddly, 42nd or 43rd minute goal, and then like a 50th minute goal. So almost exact same timing on when we scored, and even that team couldn't hold. They lost 2-0, and one of the the second goal that Chattanooga scored today was almost a mirror image of one of their goals from last year.
Yeah.
Team loves giving up goals on scrums in the boxes in Chattanooga. Literally every game we played in Chattanooga, every Chattanooga goal has come from that that corner of the field that's closed in with the fans there. Every single one has started from that corner.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Chattanooga is it's a horrible place to play because it's so tight. It's so tight there, and I don't get it. Like I think this is the only place in USL League One Richmond has not won it. I will have to go back and look.
You might be right. Yeah.
I think this might be. I mean, outside of Lansing, but we only played them one season. I think this might be the only place we have never won at.
I guess technically Lexington, and we haven't been to Knoxville yet, but
yeah. But just I don't. And I mean, you got experience on the field. You got Zaka, you got Emmy, you got Dakota, Ani, Akira, Neil, Bentley, guys that have been on this team, played multiple games, that know the overall importance of no, we got to slow this game down. Like, that's all Chattanooga's trying to do. Chattanooga's not trying to build up. They're not trying to, ticky-tacky you through the field or anything like that. They're literally just like, yo, we're going to cut through you in the middle of this midfield. And that kind of leads to the saying, I think all the problems with the team kind of stems from the midfield. Like, at the beginning of the year, we were praising the defense right now because they were so strong and whatnot. But we always kind of backed them and said, it's only going to hold water for so long. Like, this defense is not going to solve everything, right? And we're seeing that now, where the defense now is kind of more so ISO defending more than what they did before in the past. And I don't know, man. It just seemed like the recurrent issue of the midfield, where the first goal and the third goal, the second goal, I'll give them. Like, it's a scrum. It happens.
Happens a lot, though.
It does. You're right. It does. It does happen a lot. But it's one of those goals where you're just like, all right, cool. You chalk it up to the game. It is what it is. The first and third goal, literally, the midfield is non-existent. And I know how much we all love Zaka and whatnot, but these are the moments where you kind of want Zaka to be there just to cut it out.
Yeah. I mean, the first one I can forgive a little bit more because there's not a reason we should have had big numbers right around the ball there, because it's Bentley, coming backwards, with the ball, and I think trying to get it to Simon, and it just goes, he gets tapped and it goes wrong on that. So it sucks. That might happen every once in a blue, especially at this level, every now and then. And then guy takes 2 touches, hits a great shot. All right, unfortunate, but at least positionally I can understand it. The third one, don't know where Gordon was trying to run to with that ball, in the first place.
So sloppy on the ball.
He's all or nothing, right?
There was a lot of times he got on the ball in this game, and he was he would trip over his feet or he would fall, and I'm just like,
Wednesday he was great.
Yeah.
Right, which kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of why maybe not at the top of Darren's list, because you don't know what you're going to get, and I think most coaches are risk averse in the known quantities if they can help it. But he's trying to dribble out of trouble, and just gets absolutely stuffed, and then the ball bounces out, and somehow Chattanooga's got a 4-on-1, in our own half, right around there. I assume it was probably Simon was the only guy anywhere near the ball at that point. That's what my question is. I was like, all right, we were already coming out, the defense right there. Owain was trying to do something to, get the ball out of there. Didn't work. But how does it end up being a 4v1? And it's not like there was 4v1 at midfield. It was 4v1, I don't know what the zones are, any of that nonsense. But
I mean, it's roughly the same spot where we gave up the first goal.
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm a lot more willing to have a conversation about. Where was anyone?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of just Gordon got tripped up there, lost the ball, and next thing you know, you can see he's setting up to shoot the ball, and our players are just standing there who's going to close him down?
Yeah. So, and then once that went in, yes, I know we scored in the 95th minute on Wednesday. I didn't have any faith that these guys were going to be able to turn it back on and get that goal.
This team has only scored 13 goals from open play this year. The chances of us. Oddly, I didn't know this either. We also complained about the set pieces, but I think we lead the league in set pieces. That's what we're saying.
Not we. Y'all complained about them.
Oh, well, correction. I complained about the set pieces and found out that we lead the league in set pieces. Who would have ever thunk it?
Me?
Once again, the things we complain about come back to bite
Yeah.
us in the ass.
That's the one thing that this team's been doing well. Whether it's Ani launching his long throws, which when they work are amazing, maddening every other time. But corners and even kind of picking up the second ball on corners have been going pretty well a lot of the time. And then obviously Neil decided to just rocket one in a few weeks ago.
I bring this up again because I'm genuinely like thinking about it. Like we talking about in terms of like what needed to change for the team with 9 games left to go. And it's kind of just like if you're doing so well on set pieces, and I know Darren's talked about trying to make the soccer a little bit prettier and having a lot more of the ball, which is great, fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, you want to get the result. And I'm wondering is it time for Richmond just to dirty things up? Just to be like, all right, I think I said this earlier, but Zaka isn't at the level of which he was at last year. He can't cover all that space by himself anymore. Do you think it's time just for this team to be like, all right, we're going to go hella defensive and just go from there?
At this point, no, because while there's still a little bit of a glimmer of hope, got to go all out for it. And I don't think locking it down is going to be the most effective way to do that. Like, it seems counterintuitive, but the team, we need goals. So you got to play with fire a little bit right now, because we saw the beginning part of the year we couldn't score for crap. And if we were in a position where draws could be okay, yeah, I'd say go for it. But we're past those days now.
Yeah. It does seem that way. So Richmond goes on, loses game 3-2. That definitely puts us 9th in the table. We're 10 points away from the bottom of the table, or Fuego, but we are also 10 points away from second place, which makes little to no sense in this league. So the games Richmond got coming up next, if you look at it as this, is you got NCFC at home on Saturday. You go on the road against Lexington on the 26th. And then a short turnaround, we play Fuego. That's 2v2 now.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. My computer decided to be in the spirit of ESPN and not work. Now.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the good old required updates that go off without you telling anything. So I feel like much like ESPN was trying to tell us something and look out for us in the good way. Maybe my laptop is doing the same thing and say, you don't want any of this.
No, not at all. I mean, we got 3 games left in this month. We got NCFC at home, Fuego at home, and then Lexington in between that. Sandwich in between that on the road. We've only got 1 point so far this month out of the 2 games we played. Do you think there's no way this team can go another month without a win? Right?
You hope not.
That's the whole. Oh man! I mean, by the time we play on Saturday, it'll be 49 days. Like, it doesn't have vibes of the 7-game losing streak we had under Bulow back in 2019, where I don't even think we scored a goal or anything. Like, it was bad. But this.
Well, here's the bright way to look at this. We're due to get points somewhere, home this coming week, because we don't repeat results. So we're guaranteed to get a win or a draw against North Carolina now. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, that is how it works. We have gone lost, draw, lost, draw, lost, draw, lost. And that's the immaculate thing about it. The team does not repeat results, but at some point, something got to give, man. Something has got to give with these guys, getting points and having a positive game. Something got to give. But Matt, I mean, we've seen the discourse a lot in the Red Army chat on Twitter and whatnot after the game, after this result. But what needs to be done to this team to get them prepared and ready for next year, so we don't have a repeat of this next season?
I think realistically, part of the rest of this season is going to be, seeing who can bring what to the table, kind of like what you were talking about a little bit, before. Seeing which guys pack up shop and kind of turn it in for the rest of the year, and who's still out grinding for it. I think there's a little bit to that. I'll be honest, I don't remember off the top of my head who's under contract for next year, but I know it's probably 7 or 8 of them, or at least already. So how do you build around that core? Really start. And I think Darren, the team are already doing this, but start to identify, what spots do we need new guys coming in. I don't think that's the hardest thing in the world to figure out, but for them figuring out who they are. Are they other League One guys? Is it that they're going to start working the college networks? Now that the college season is going to go and trying to identify some seniors that are ready to go. Is it that they start using their international networks and find out hey, who might be looking to come back home to the States? Much like Stu or Payne or even Ethan did. Found their way here as kind of a career rehab, sort of spot. So, looking for the profiles of guys that they really want, and being able to fill them in, because I know the message over this last offseason was, hey, we're really looking for guys who are bought into the culture and whatnot, and I get that, but I'm okay if we have mostly culture guys and a few guys who are here openly using Richmond as a pit stop and showing their skills while they're here.
Yeah, I think there's a good way how you can marry both of those two. I think hindsight's 2020. I think going back and looking at the offseason, Belmar, Suko, and Hornsby were the 3 new additions, right? Is there anyone else I'm forgetting in that?
Probably. Meacham. Yeah, Jow,
Meacham. Anyone else? I think that's majority.
Yeah,
Sarakowski, you can kind of throw in there, but he's more of a mid-season acquisition,
right?
But yeah, for the most part, none of those signings are young, outside of Meacham, who I think is 21, maybe.
Yeah, he's straight out of college.
Yeah,
22, maybe 23.
Right, and he's young. He can still be mowed and still be some. We've seen flashes of the good things he can do. I think Hornsby's been a key addition. Sarakowski's, you showing what he's done. Really, when you look at it, I think the biggest thing is you need to go add some youth. Go add some young guys to the team in the attacking spots.
And not necessarily just academy youth either. No shade meant towards our academy guys, right now. But I think when I hear youth is getting those 19, 20-year-olds where they want to play pro, they don't want to play college, and they're on the up.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it when we bought in Bolaños and Stan and those guys that were.
Those were college guys, right?
Yeah, 20, 21 years old, wanted to play pro, but didn't get the opportunity. A break, came to Richmond. Granted, it took them a year or two, or Bolaños kept a year and a half to get acclimated, and then went on from there. Same thing with Stu, same thing with Payne. This team just needs to get younger. Right now, the overall age of this team is 28. The attack is old. It's old. Is probably the oldest part, with Owain being 31, Emmy being 30, Belmar, I believe, is 32.
He's early 30s, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact.
Midfield is a little bit slightly older. I'm not gonna lie. For the longest, I thought Jao was 23, 25. Sarakowski's 25. So you still got some upside there, but they're probably more or less at their peak.
Yeah, they're probably who they are.
Yeah, who they are at this point now. Zaka, might be coming out of his peak. He's having a slightly down year. Neal is 27, I believe. And then the other thing too, like I mean, outside of adding youth in the attack, I would say probably go get a third starting center back. Like that's what we saw the best out of this defense was there was three center backs that could start whenever for us, right? It wasn't like we had our first two and then there was a gap. The best version of Darren's defense we've seen when you had Jalen, Dakota, and Ani all competing for the spot. So even if one got out of form, you could throw the other one in there till the third guy got back in form, and then you just go again. Right now we're kind of having to play Dakota and Ani, and even if they get out of bad form, we still got to play them because they're the best two center backs in the roster.
Yeah, look, being realistic, part of it is the CBA being out there. We got to pay, everybody, at a certain level now. Got away with in the past, having guys who wanted the chance who were willing to play for peanuts, and I mean that was working for the team, and good for the players. I've said this before. CBA is great for the players, not necessarily great for the fan side, where we just want to see the best players on the field we can get.
Yeah.
The budget gets a little. You can't stretch it quite as far anymore. So
and I mean,
what we really need is Rob to get make some new friends in the off season who really like soccer and have a lot of money.
Get some of those Davidson or VCU guys in here and have them donate something so we can get more players. But then also you go back and look at the roster construction of this team, and it was a lot of youth coming in. Beckett Howe, obviously I did Landon Johnson, Octavio, Gabe. Is someone else I'm forgetting?
We had Eli, and then he went.
Yeah, Eli went to college.
Simmons, who hasn't been around yet because he was off with youth team stuff to do, but maybe we see him soon. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean we've only seen these guys as spot players. And when we thought Gabe was getting ready, we was like, all right, Gabe might be getting more minutes. We haven't seen him in a significant amount, so it kind of makes you wonder, like, all right. I mean, I trust these guys with the youth development and whatnot, but what's going on with their minutes? Are we not seeing more of them? Are they being stunted? Who's to say? Because Octavio signed last year, and I probably think he's played all of. I know he played in the friendly, but we haven't really seen him. Yeah, we haven't seen him since then, or even touched the 18. So
it's all right. And some of the academy signings are fine for that. They can be good practice players, getting some experience. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's my thing. I think the team, honestly, one is just become more vertical and get some speed in behind and just get younger for next year. Like if you could get younger in spots, do that. Me personally, I know Belmar started out the season hot, and I don't know why he's not been in the team for a while, but I'm kind of cool, like staying away from the 30-plus-year-old player signing. Is going to more what has worked for this team and getting those guys straight out of college or looking to come back to the States. Like you said, Matt, rehab their careers. Kind of go and get those guys if you can.
Yeah, kind of playing more of the lottery tickets, than who might hit it big or might be absolutely terrible, rather than a lot of guys who might have a decent floor but maybe not a big ceiling either.
Yeah,
like you can get away with having picking up a couple of those in the off season because there is value in having that nice consistent guy that you can run out there for whatever. But yeah, you got to go play the Powerball every now and then.
Yeah,
especially
right. I would like to see us go play the Powerball and attack because there's more opportunities for you to chop and change and kind of play around with that.
Yeah,
but in defense, go get this. Yeah, go get the solid thing. Like I'm cool with when Darren brought in Kyle Vintner, or when he brought in Dakota, he went and got himself a veteran defender, and kind of solid up the defense, right? And his work is improved. is there any spot on the field that you feel as if like you're definitely like, all right, this position we're good at? Like for me, it's fullback. Like I feel like we got good depth at fullback. I feel good about who we got there.
I don't think there's any position where we're good across the board. Like we're good on the starting center forward. If Emmy gets hurt, what are we doing?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. Like attacking mid, I think Neil's still good, solid, above average League One player there.
Yeah.
Don't love the options if he's not available. You go down goalkeeper. I'm okay with where we are with goalkeeper right now. Even if next year maybe Will and Akira flip, I can live with that combo as our goalkeepers.
So I mean, that is I was going to ask you about that later, but with 9 games left, do you think it's time to just see what Will got for a good stretch? I mean, we've seen him in points of this, but do you think it's time?
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm kind of in favor of playing Will. Give Will these last 9 or so games and see what he got. See if he can be the starter for next year.
I don't know how to go like all 9 or anything, but I'm fine with him getting, at least 3 or 4 of them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, see what you got for next year. I mean, he's done well in the games that he's played in so far. Seeing what you got there. I mean, obviously, I believe Akira's contract is up at the end of this year anyway, so it doesn't hurt to see what you got there. And then if Will does well, then hey, that's one less position you got to go spend money on. And I think like that's the biggest thing. Like for us, like we know this and we keep in mind of like when we're going out possibly talking about what players we want or the kind of profile players we want. Like every position on the field attracts some kind of dollar sign to it. Mm-hmm. So if you can save money on going out here and getting a starting goalkeeper and seeing if Will can do that, then hey, that's great. That's fine.
Yeah, especially if you can double up on Akira as coach / backup.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that works well for Akira. Like, give Akira what? If next year comes and Will starts, I'm cool with Akira getting 5 to 8 games.
Yeah.
Be the cup goalkeeper and go from there.
Yeah. If something happens, to Will during the season, fully trust Akira to be able to hop in just like Will did when Akira was on paternity leave.
Do you think Akira becomes the next Ronnie? Just randomly gets like 1 start, he is like 43.
I don't think he ever played after he officially retired, but he showed up on the bench like in emergency situations for a few years.
But yeah, I mean,
other than that, I don't think we're solid, with depth anywhere on the field right now. There's guys who can play those positions, but I don't know if we're dead set solid.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I said fullback is because Hornsby, Meekum, and Simon, like those 3 as fullbacks. I'm like, all right, I'm good with that. I can, like, I don't have to go out and spend money on fullbacks next year. I think the thing this team needs to go out here and when we say spend money, we're talking about like getting guys who can, younger guys, college level, who are looking for opportunities, winger, and possibly a 6 or like a ball carrier center mid.
Well, I mean, I think probably a couple wingers, but
a couple wingers. You're right about that. A couple of wingers, a ball carrying 6. Would you throw center back in there or?
Could use another one of those. Could use another, kind of box to box midfielder.
It depends on what. Because for me, I see Zhao being more so. I see Zhao more closely related to Neil, and I see Suko a little bit more closely related to Zaka. So in that case, like, do you go out here and get someone that kind of fills that Ethan Bryan role? Maybe someone that can just carry the ball forward?
Based on what we were talking about earlier, I don't see how we can say that midfield doesn't need to be addressed in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it does. I mean, like I was saying before, like we said at the start, like most of the issues with this team, with the lack of creativity, the lack of goal scoring, the lack of assists, comes from the midfield. And I just think like there's no connecting piece in there. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Mhm.
that makes any sense. Like, and I mean, honestly, I have no problem. I would love to see Darren kind of chop and change the midfield a little bit, like sit Zaka for a game or two and see what not Sarakowski, see what Suko can do. You know, see what the midfield of Neil, Zhao, and Suko can do, and see if that provides you a little bit more. You know,
Yeah, I mean, why not at this point?
yeah. I mean, and see what you got from there. I mean, I think, I think we're trying to find solutions and try to see like if you can plug this hole, can you fix that, and how does this relate to that? But even if this team manages to get into the playoffs, which I would be happy for, it still doesn't take away from the issues that need to be addressed on the field.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're being realistic right now. Yeah, they could run off like 8 out of the last 9 and find their way in, but I'll be happy to be wrong on that one too if that happens.
Yeah. I've realized that we complain about certain things and then the opposite happens, and then it's like the team just shoots off, and it'd be great if that happens here. You know?
Yeah, so
Yeah. North Carolina coming up. I believe they are still first in USL League One. If I'm not mistaken, I think they are a game or two. Yeah, I think they're 2 or so games away from clinching a playoff spot. I think.
it seems a little too soon for that, but
Okay. I thought they were close, but they seem to be, they seem to be clearing that. But do you think there's any way we could pull off an upset against North Carolina? We
sure.
always, as fans, we want to have that possibility, but
I mean, why not? When we played them down there, we were up 2-0 and had a meltdown, not terribly different than what just happened this weekend. Got a draw out of them last time, just on Wednesday. No reason to think that this team can't play with them. It's they're more consistent, and maybe a little more lethal at times. But that's the frustrating thing about this team is they can hang with most other teams, for most of the game.
Yeah. It's just I have a good feeling about this game, but like you said, they got to be consistent. Like, but also like they can't fall into the trap of trying to speed this game up, and then North Carolina just come out and cuts us in the midfield. Like,
yeah.
Well, what are some things you're looking if Richmond is able to get a win in this game? What are some things? What are like 2 or 3 things you're looking for that has to happen in order for us to get away with a win?
Denying them quality, service into the box. That's where both games McLaughlin had a very similar header that he scored. So on Wednesday, I guess technically ended up being an own goal, but goal came from there. Like, they're good at picking that kind of stuff out, and if we can find a way to slow that down or make them find a different way into goal, go for it.
Yeah. I would say so for me is shutting down access to Rafa. Like Rafa always seems to come upon us in some weird moment. It's almost like Marky Hernandez. I think those are the 3 things that kills us. Rafa, Marky, and Chattanooga at home. But yeah, I think shutting down access to Rafa and securing the midfield. Like, you can't allow North Carolina to chop us up in the midfield and just be hella direct with us. Like, if it takes Zaka and Suko just sitting deep in front of the back 4 and kind of cleaning up mistakes and then getting the ball forward and going direct in, then do it. But I would love to see the team be able to get 3 points and go on from there.
Yeah, if we're gonna make a run, it's got to start now. So let's go for it. And
Right.
and again,
Um,
no matter how rough it's going at any given time, still better to be watching a game at City Stadium than to not be watching a game at City Stadium.
yeah, and this team has done a little bit better at City Stadium than they have on the road. Not in the heights it was last year, but we're still gonna sit there and cheer on the boys, regardless of what everything happens. It's just we got a 9-game season. See how many wins you can get from that, and go from there. So, Matt, anything else from you, my man, before we wrap up?
No.
Me either, man. Listeners, always, we just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day for listening to our show. Because without you, we couldn't do this. And I know it's rough. I know it sucks. I know it's been 42 days since we had a happy pod, and it kind of seems like we're talking about the same things. But just like y'all, we're trying to figure out the answers and solutions to things that are going on the field. So, just want to say thank y'all for sticking with us. Happy pods and happy games are coming shortly and soon. And who knows? Maybe we'll end them off on a 3-game win streak. So, with that being said, for Matt, Chenier, Kate, Gabe, and myself, we will holler at you guys next time. Be easy and be safe.